Hello everyone, welcome to this channel. My name is Oluwaseun Adeosun, and in this video we shall be talking about literature mapping. There is something that is quite pertinent after successfully structuring your research topic. That is, after you have successfully structured your research topic, you now have your research topic that you want to work on, and after putting a lot of effort, after putting a lot of time, after those sessions of brainstorming, after considering different kinds of options, after reading a lot of resources online and everything, on a norms, there is this kind of peace that comes that yes, I now have a topic to work with. But having your topic, having a workable topic is not the end, it's just the beginning of research writing. And there is something that is pertinent after having your research topic, and that is an era of struggle to understanding the amounts of literature that you will be needing to write your research project or your research article. And when I say understanding the amount of literature, I mean that understanding the number of literatures, the number of paper, the number of research article, journals that are enough, that are adequate to write your research projects. And as a matter of fact, it goes beyond understanding the number of literatures that will be enough to write your projects, but it also cuts across your ability to be able to download, or probably your ability to be able to have the relevant literatures, the relevant journal articles that are relevant, that are adequate, that fit into your research interests. That is your area of interest, what you really want to write on. And one thing I want you to know is that this struggle is real because everybody goes through it. An expert goes through it. If you're an intermediate in the world of academic writing, you go through it. You see, everybody goes through it. And if everybody goes through it, I'm just trying to imagine how difficult it will be for newbies. And what do I mean by this? That is, those who are new to the world of article writing or academic research writing. So after you have successfully structured your research topic, it is not time to relax. That's what I want you to know. It is not time to relax, because having your research topic with you will launch you into another realm of struggle, which is, how do I download my journal? We've done a video series on that. And it's not just about how do I download my journal, but how do I have access to relevant journals that I will need to successfully write my research projects. There is one thing about you going online and downloading a lot of journal articles, and there is another thing in you really downloading those ones that are really pertinent, those ones that are vital to what you want to work on. So what am I trying to say in that sense? What I'm trying to say is that after putting in a lot of thoughts, a lot of time, a lot of efforts, after going through a lot of brainstorming session in successfully structuring a workable research topic for your projects, the next step that is vital in order for you to conduct a successful and an impactful research is what we call literature review. Literature review. And what is literature review? Literature review is majorly about reviewing a lot of existing literature in your area of interest. Like I said in our journal downloading series, I said it is not possible for you to say that everything that you want to write in your research projects or your research article is everything. It comes from your head. That is the ideas you have in your brain. It is not possible. The reason why is because there are a lot of people that have written on your research interests what you are about to working on. A lot of people, and if it is not a lot of people, at least some people, yes, some scholars have written about them before. But literature review enables you to review the literatures that are already in existence in your area of interest. While reviewing these literatures, you are able to assess their impact, that is, are they relevant to what you want to work on? And it gives you the opportunity, literature review gives you the opportunity to assess them at various levels. And a process at which you can review the literature is what we refer to as literature mapping. So, in the process of searching for a lot of resources for your research, there is this situation whereby you will see online a lot of resources. You know, the internet consists of a lot of information. And you see, if you begin to read different kind of articles, you download this, you see this, you saw different kind of article, you are going to feel like they are relevant to what you really want to work on. Yes, you are going to feel like they are relevant to what you really want to work on. But until you do a literature review of those resources that you are seeing online, that is, until you do a literature mapping of those resources that you are seeing online, it will be difficult for you to ascertain the relevance of those literatures or those journal articles to what you want to write on. So, like I write here, it is normal for you to be overwhelmed by the large amounts of information you encounter online. Because yes, you are going to see a lot of information online. But your ability to be able to download the relevant ones, to be able to analyze the ones and decide on the ones to include in your research projects is what really matters. Also, you see, in the process of all these things, you might even have difficulties in identifying and organizing the information you see online on how relevant they are to your research. And you see, there is something that is required of researchers. And that is, researchers, either you are new, you are a researcher. Either you've been writing, you are not new to the world of academic writing, you're a researcher. Either you are an expert, you're a researcher. Everyone, no matter the level you find yourself in academic writing, you are a researcher, in as much as you are trying to write a research article. So there is something that is quite important, or let me say that is required of researchers. And that is, researchers are required to demonstrate a knowledge structure that are of quality and that can also form a link with other people's work. Do you understand? What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that while you are writing your paper, it is expected for you to write your work in such a way that your paper demonstrates a quality knowledge structure. That is, when you are writing, it is interesting, it is sequential, it flows, and it is addressing the issues at hand. It is addressing the problem that you identify. You understand? It is addressing a gap that you realize. It is addressing matters at hand. You understand? It is interesting because if you're writing and your work is not reflecting the things that really matter, what really drives you to write what you're writing on, then you're not writing anything. You understand? It is when what you're writing on really it's really address what drives you into that area of interest or what drives you to formulate that topic in the first place, that is when we can say that a researcher is demonstrating a high quality knowledge structure. You understand? And that are relevant to what you're writing on, and can also be linked to other people's work. Remember, let me remind you of this again. No matter the volume of idea you have in your head, your idea doesn't fall out of the sky. As in, what I mean by this is that there is something that leads to that idea. It's not something that just fall from the sky like that. You understand? And those ideas, the idea that you have doesn't really stand alone. You understand? And you can't say that you want to address your idea and then you say that everything I want to write on is from my head. Everything, my head is full of idea. Everything is from my head and I'm just writing them like that. You understand? Other people has done something, if not exactly what you're trying to do, but something related to what you're about to do. Other people has done it before. You understand? And while you are writing your own work too, while you're writing your own article, it is important that your work creates a link with other people's work. That is the work, what other people rather has done in that area before. You understand? So this thing is required of a researcher. And you won't be able to do this until you do a literature mapping. Because literature mapping enables you to realize, to see, or to establish the link and the connection among other people's work with your own work or what you are about to do. So, what exactly do we mean by literature mapping? What exactly do we mean by literature mapping? Literature mapping is also referred to as literature review. Literature mapping is also referred to as literature review. You understand? As literature review, it is a graphical or diagrammatic presentation of research topic. Literature mapping, which is also referred to as the summary of literature review, is a diagrammatic or graphical representation of a research topic. Yes, there are different kinds of literature review or literature mapping. Some appears in form of diagram, depending on what you are trying to do, while others appears in form of graph, depending on what you are trying to do. Mostly, literature mapping is presented in tables, depending on what you are still trying to do. But you see, I said a graphical or diagrammatic representation of research topic. You might just be thinking that, okay, it's just about research topic. It's more than research topic because it contains the different elements that makes up the article or the project or the paper you are writing on as at that moment. You understand? I am going to show you a pictorial example of a literature map so that you will understand better. So oftentimes literature map consists of information about the topic which cut across the authors, the topic, the method, the data use, method of measurements, the objectives, the findings, the gap, the review. So it consists of a lot of things. These things we are going to discuss them one after the other. Let's continue. So literature mapping helps to identify. Literature mapping helps to identify, evaluate, and interpret the work of other researchers from the field of study or research. Literature mapping helps to identify 1, evaluate 2, and interpret. It consists of 3 elements. The work of other researchers from the same field of study or research. Let me take these elements one after the other. Literature mapping helps you to identify. That's the first stage. Identify in such a way that, can I make use of this literature? Remember, when I'm talking about literature here, I'm simply referring to the journal articles online that you will download and use to write your research projects or your research article. Do you understand? Okay, so literature mapping helps you to identify, number 1, helps you to identify if a particular literature or if a particular journal will be relevant to what you want to write on. Then after you might have identified and you decided in your heart that, okay, it is relevant, the next step is that literature mapping helps you to evaluate it. You evaluate that journal article. Now, the process of evaluation is the process of you presenting the information about that literature or about that journal in form of diagram or in a graph or in a table. Do you understand? You present them heading by heading. You understand? And you write the informations out. That's the process of evaluation. And when you might have evaluated them, you now interpret their work to now finally decide that, yes, I am going to include this particular literature as part of my work. That is, this literature is totally, generally, or very important to what I want to write on. Okay, what else is a literature mapping? Or let me say, what does literature mapping give to us? What benefits do we see or gain while trying to map a literature? You see, mapping a literature is beneficial because it enables ideas, arguments, and concepts in a research paper to be reviewed independently. What do we mean by this? Mapping literature is beneficial because it enables ideas. The ideas is what is that thing that led to the formulation of your research topic or your research title. And these ideas are backed up by arguments and concepts. You understand? They are backed up by arguments. You see, the arguments are the problem you realize, the problems that you want to talk about in that area of interest that drove you into forming a topic in that area. And the elements, you remember your independent variables, your dependent variables, and the variable of measurements for your independent variables and your dependent variables are the concepts that formulate your arguments and your ideas. They are the concepts that backs up your arguments and your ideas that you want to talk about. We are still going to talk more about these things in-depthly in our subsequent videos. So they are the things that formulate the concepts that backs up your arguments and ideas. And mapping a literature enables you to identify all these 3 things independently. It enables you to review them independently, literature by literature, journal by journal, so that you can make a quality decision on the usefulness of those literature to what you want to work on or what you're about writing on. Do you understand? So, when mapping literature, literature mapping is an established method. Another thing about literature mapping is that literature mapping is an established method of attributing a knowledge and thinking process to a course, which makes your research project or paper to be more real. Literature mapping is an established method of attributing a knowledge and thinking process to a course, which makes your research project or paper to be more real. What do we mean by this? Let me say, what do I mean by this? Literature mapping is an established method. What do we mean? It is something that must be done. You cannot do without doing a literature mapping, because it has been proven over time. You understand? That's what I mean by established. It has been proven over time to enable you as a researcher to attribute a knowledge, that is the idea that you have, what you want to write on, or a thinking pattern, a thinking process. Whatsoever you have in your mind, or whatsoever you have of it, comes as a result of a thinking process. That thinking process formulates your ideas, formulate the things you want to write on. You understand? It is a thinking process. It enables you to attribute your knowledge, your ideas, your thinking process to a cause. That is, all these things that I'm thinking about, all these ideas, all this thinking process, all this thinking pattern, I can attribute it to a cause. That is, there is something in specific that causes it. And your ability to be able to attribute those things to a cause makes your research projects or your research article or your paper, anything you're trying to work on, to be more real. It makes it to be scientific. And that's the reason why in a research project we have this kind of session called empirical review. You understand? Empirical review is a bit linked to literature mapping. In fact, as a matter of fact, after you might have mapped out your literature, it is the literatures that you map out that you turn to empirical review. But this video is not for empirical review. We still get there. Okay? So, once you're able to do this, literature mapping helps you to provide a basis to showcase that what you're working on, what you're writing, is real. You understand? It is built on something that people has written about before. It is built on a particular cause that has been written on before, that is seen, that can be identified. And that is what makes whatsoever you're trying to work on to look more real, to be authentic. It shows that you, as a researcher, you know what you're trying to work on. Let me end this video here. We are going to continue in our next video. So, see you in our next video.